Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to today's installment of Edmonton, Illinois YouTube channel, Fact, Fiction, and Fuzzy. Today, our guest is John Burkey, the director of LUDA, the Illinois Large Unit District Association. We're really happy to have him back, familiar face on the YouTube channel for Edmonton, Illinois. So welcome, John. Thanks for spending time with us today.
Well, thanks, Kevin. It's always good to be with you guys. Kevin, I have to ask you though, am I taking you away from your algebra lesson?
I've got a couple things I need to figure out here.
You just do equations for fun, or what's happening?
It's kind of my stress reliever. So yes, I appreciate.
We all have our
Thanks
thing.
for noticing that.
We all have our thing. Okay.
It's remote learning, right? Remote learning, 2020, all those things together, right? John, thanks for being with us. Let's start out with a fact, something that you know to be true.
Without a doubt, this last 7-8 months has been the most challenging time that educators have ever faced and probably ever will face in their careers.
Very, very true. That's something we see every single day, and definitely a fact. Now, what's something we would throw in the fiction category, something that you found not to be true during this time?
Well, I think it's a fiction that many of us knew, but not all of us knew, and that is one size does not fit all in education. And we still have a model that is so much built on squeezing kids into our formula. And what we're learning through this is that most kids need some in-person instruction, or a majority of in-person instruction. They need that human interaction. But what we're also learning is there are kids that are doing very well with remote learning. And I think that this really is emphasizing that we have to continue to be flexible with how students learn after this is over, and just completely get rid of the one-size-fits-all approach.
Sure, John, kind of finding that gray, right? Finding that someplace in the middle, right? Not all one thing or another, right? Something in the middle.
And actually, it's not gray, but vivid color. That's where we need to have our kids in that vivid color of the spectrum.
I like that, John. Last one would be a fuzzy, right? So maybe something that made you smile, laugh, something that made you feel proud, or maybe it could be a lingering question that you have, right? Something that you're still fuzzy about.
So yeah, so fuzzy, I'm such a touchy-feely, fuzzy person. So this is probably not at all. But anyway, let me put it this way. I am maybe not touchy-feely, but I'm a history guy. I love history. And let me frame it this way. In a lot of ways, I think we can relate this time we're in to the period right at the end of World War II. So after World War II, basically, certainly where we were fighting the war, both in Europe and in the Pacific, everything was decimated. Everything had to be really rebuilt from scratch. And America came back after the war, and things looked really desolate. Our economy was still a mess. Like I said, the world and many parts of the world had been decimated by the war. And so the outlook didn't look great, maybe, as everybody came home in 1945. But we didn't know it at the time, but we were really on the verge of a complete American Renaissance, and what ended up becoming known as the American century in the second half of the 20th century. And it was a time where we rapidly took the lead in the world in manufacturing. Our economy soared over the decades after World War II. And I think we're kind of in that same period in education. We've just been through a terrible storm where things look really desolate, and we have kids that have really struggled, and in a very inequitable way. Some kids have done okay, some haven't, and we're going to come out of COVID in education in this rebuilding phase, and it can be a really, really exciting time, just as the time after World War II was. And I think we have to look at it that way as educators, that we are going to be not just rebuilding, but reimagining an education system as we go forward. And I think that's incredibly exciting. And I think it's the challenge for all of us to take full advantage of the future that we're about to embark on.
I love that, John. So a little bit of hope and some optimism, but then also sort of a call to action, right? As we kind of
It really is.
come on the other side of this.
You know,
John,
it's a cliche not to let a good crisis go to waste, but it really does apply here. Let's not let this crisis go to waste. Just like, you know, our grandparents came out of World War II and did not let that terrible tragedy go to waste. They rebuilt a better America and they rebuilt a better world. And we can do that same thing in education as we come out of COVID.
excellent. Dr. John Burkey, Executive Director of the Large Unit District Association here in Illinois, giving us, again, just a great dose of optimism here on a Friday. So, John, we really want to thank you here for your time. If you haven't already, folks, please subscribe to our Edmentum, Illinois YouTube channel. And John, we really appreciate your time and your input here
Great
today.
to see both of you. And I just encourage everyone to send Kevin more math problems so he can.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
On his stress. Sure.
Excellent. Thanks, John. Be well.
Take care, everybody.